Good, very early morning, guys. It's about 4:30 in the morning here Eastern time. Yeah, I've been up since about 3 and trying to find out what the hell's going on in the world. In case you guys haven't noticed, there is a coup attempt currently in process in Russia. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. This is not a prepping video. This is 100% news. I'm not trying to fear porn anybody. I'm telling you this because the U.S. media is all snug in their bed, waiting to do their 8 to 5 job of reporting what's going on in the world, and completely behind the 8 ball on it. Any of the news that I've seen so far in U.S. media is at least 4 to 6 hours old. Okay, nothing from what's happened overnight. Sorry. It's early and I'm trying to keep my voice clear as best I can. So, just to give you this as an idea, so you understand how we're talking about this first. It's 4:30 in the morning Eastern time, which means right now it's about 12:30 in Western Russia in the afternoon. So it's lunchtime Saturday. All right. So give you an idea. It's pitch black out here. It's middle of the day there. Y'all are familiar with the mercenary group Wagner, right? You know, the company that's owned by Evgeny Prigozhin. They have decided to turn tail, and instead of fighting for the Russians against Ukraine, have now decided to try to topple the Putin government. Yesterday evening for us, overnight for them, the Wagner Group took Rostov-on-Don, okay? And I want to show you a map here real quick, just so you can kind of follow what's going on, so you can see where things are. Rostov-on-Don is in the bottom of this picture here, all right? And you can see this is down by Mariupol, Donetsk, everything, the eastern portion of Ukraine, where all the fighting's been going on. And, you know, if you go all the way to Dnipro or Zaporizhia, we've talked about all this. That's all Russian territory. But the Wagner Group, according to the U.S. media, is just taking Rostov. In reality, currently, the Wagner Group is already up at Voronezh, okay, on their way to Moscow. They're halfway there already. There are videos all over the place of the convoys of Wagner trucks, Wagner tanks, whatever it is, heading toward Moscow. The Russian military is definitely taking this seriously because there is apparently heavy fighting between the Wagner Group and the Russian military in Voronezh, including airstrikes by the Russian military on this convoy. Now, I want you to remember this. The Wagner Group fought for Russia against Ukraine. Now they are fighting against the Russians. So now and how serious this is, the Russians are using airstrikes against an ally in the Wagner Group because the Wagner Group has not changed their loyalties, changed their priorities. Okay. What you got is Prigozhin trying to take over Russia, exchanging one madman for another. Where this becomes serious is you guys need to remember, Russia has the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. Putin may be a madman, but he ain't pushed the button. Prigozhin doesn't have a problem with that, okay? This is a guy who runs a company of mercenaries. You think you want to give him that kind of weapons? This is the issue that we come up with. Where you have another problem to this is you have Russian military units defecting from their orders, defecting from the Russian military, violating their orders, and joining the Wagner Group, heading north. Moscow has been put in a state of emergency at this point. All public mass groupings of people have been canceled, so any sort of parties or anything like that, or organized affairs have all been canceled. Okay, they aren't in lockdowns, but there are checkpoints around the entire city. I want to give you an idea. Moscow is a city of about 25 million people, guys. It's bigger than any city in the United States. It is enormous. I mean, there's three major airports in Moscow. It makes New York or Houston or Los Angeles or whatever it is look like Podunkville. They're sealing off the city to stop this. What's going to happen as the day goes on, we'll find out. Okay. Now, I want you to think about something here real quick. How does this affect the United States? I won't say all of us, because there's no way we can even speculate on that one as of yet what happens here. But I want you to remember this. A while back, 15 months, this war has been going on in Ukraine that U.S. and NATO has basically been keeping it afloat, because Ukraine would have got steamrolled by Russia in a couple of weeks if it wasn't for all the NATO backing. The Wagner Group has been fighting for Russia against Ukraine for the majority of this war. A while back, Russia and Ukraine, Putin and Zelensky, had negotiated a peace. And in that peace was Russia would back out of all the Ukrainian territory that it had seized in exchange for Ukraine not seeking membership in NATO. And the two of them agreed to that. The Biden administration put a stop to it. The Biden administration would not accept that. Their only goal, the only thing that was acceptable to the Biden administration, was a complete new government in Russia to overthrow Putin. Okay? Because, the United States has such a great record with regime changes. Think, I don't know, Muammar Gaddafi or Saddam Hussein, because Libya or Iraq have turned into such thriving countries since their leaders have changed. So the war continues, and Wagner has been fighting against the Ukrainians. So Wagner has been fighting against the United States interests. Now what? Now the Wagner Group is fighting alongside the United States interests to topple Putin. So how does that change things? Is Joe all of a sudden going to start sending Prigozhin javelins and Abrams tanks? Because this is what's going on. Not that that's going to happen, okay? But, somebody'd say, well, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. No, Wagner, by no means, shape, or form, is a friend of the United States, even with our idiotic support of Ukraine. Okay, again, I don't have a horse in this race. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't think the United States should be involved at all. But we need to pay attention to what is going on in the rest of the world, because things can happen. So let's hypothetically say that the Wagner Group gets into Moscow and overthrows Putin. Now we have a different madman in charge of the world's largest nuclear arsenal. Do you think the war in Ukraine is going to stop? Hell no, this guy's a mercenary. All this is going to do is increase the amount of war. He's going to continue with Ukraine. Who knows where else he goes and does this start World War III. So therefore, Wagner, even though they're doing what Joe wants to try to get rid of Putin, could be a bigger enemy than Putin. See where I'm going with this? So now what? So does Prigozhin get into power and literally start trying to storm Europe and drive us into World War III? So we go back and forth. Friend, enemy, friend, enemy, friend, enemy. This is the mess that Joe has gotten us into. And this is the mess that's going on right now. I mean, when you've got Moscow, not on lockdown, but getting closer. I mean, Who knows what's going to happen 2 or 3 hours from now? And Voronezh is only 6-hour drive away from Moscow. Who knows what happens by mid-morning? When they're 2 hours away, do they put the entire city on lockdown? Do all of a sudden we start hearing air raid sirens? What's Putin's response to these guys? Putin has talked about tactical nuclear weapons. Can you imagine shooting tactical nuclear weapons on your own country? Could that be possible? What are the people going to do? Whose side are the 25 million Muscovites going to take? Are they going to help defend the city against Wagner? Or are they going to join the party to overthrow the Kremlin? This is what's going on, guys. The U.S. media, as usual, is completely silent, completely behind the 8 ball, not paying attention to what's going on at all, okay? Like I said, snug in their little beds. Well, I'll talk about it when 8 o'clock rolls around, okay? I mean, here's the latest, and I'm getting this as close to real time as I can. This is from 5 minutes ago. Voronezh Governor Alexander Gusev said the Russian military is carrying out the necessary operational and combat measures in the region as part of the ongoing counterterrorism operation. Okay, so this is what's going on. The U.S. is still saying that Wagner is in Rostov. If you go get the live reports of what's going on, they're 4 hours north. Putin gave a speech, okay, a couple hours ago, talking about this whole situation. If you think they're not taking it seriously, Putin came out and gave a Saturday morning emergency press conference. Putin said he won't give up. He's not going to step down, okay? He also added in there that this coup pushes us toward defeat, so our response will have to be brutal against your own people, okay? Against other Russians. Putin's other comments. Everyone participating in it will be punished. Like I said, there's plenty of stories on regular army troops, military troops, defecting from the military and joining Wagner, okay? Talk about where do you figure your loyalty lies right now? You're a Russian soldier. You see there's a coup going on in your country. You have to guess, because your life depends on it, whether or not you want to be with Wagner or against Wagner. Because if you pick the wrong side, you're probably dead. Think about that. You join Wagner, Putin wins, Putin's just going to execute you. You stay in the Russian military, Wagner comes in, Prigozhin, going to execute you. Talk about that decision to make for a Saturday, okay? Putin's other comment. Those who started the coup betrayed Russia and will be made responsible. Coups don't end well for one side or the other. There's never a, okay, you know what, it was a bad Saturday for you. We'll forgive you. This is the gallows for somebody. We all knew this day was coming, that somebody was eventually going to go after Putin. We didn't figure it was going to happen this way. And this is one of the things about prepping or whatever. Something always happens that you didn't expect. Did anybody expect that Prigozhin was going to turn tail and flip on Putin? No. We figured, for the longest time, Wagner's been, Putin's elite forces. We need to get more people in. Let's get those guys. And now all of a sudden your elite forces turned on you. I mean, this is like, take the United States and all of a sudden all the Navy SEALs, all Delta Force, any of our elite soldiers decide we're storming the White House and we're taking over. That's what's going on here. Like I said, it has nothing to do with prepping, but this has a lot to do with the future of what happens to the world in 6 hours, in 6 days, in 6 weeks. We don't know. If Russia falls, if Putin falls, who knows? Okay. You know, the devil you know versus the devil you don't. As much as everybody around the world dislikes Putin, at least we have an idea what he's capable of. Prigozhin's a wild card, and that's starting all over. Pay attention. I will do what I can to keep up on this today. I've got to do a little bit of traveling today, but if something comes up, I will pay attention. Inevitably, we'll be talking about this tonight. Have a good one, gang. Pinball out.